An influential report into plans for a high-speed rail line between Birmingham and London say the scheme is affordable, but the government's business case needs to be taken into account of the potential negative impact the line would have on communities in Warwickshire. The report also suggests that the government should rethink the route so that it follows existing transport corridors like the M40 wherever possible. So how's the report going down with the campaigners in Warwickshire who have been fighting HS2? Well, our political reporter Sian Greschek is with one of them in Kenilworth this morning. Sian.
Yes, good morning, Shane. I'm standing outside of the headquarters for the main Stop HS2 campaign. It's part of the main high street now when you go through Kenilworth alongside the shops and the pubs here. They've set up shop, very determined to stop this campaign. I'm with Joe Rukin, who is the campaign coordinator. And Joe, they've come out in broad support of this scheme, but there are plenty of caveats. Do you feel that those caveats are essentially a bit of a lifeline to what you've been saying all along?
Well, absolutely. It's amazing how many of the problems that we've noted that the Transport Select Committee have agreed with. The thing is that they said it's massively conditional, their support. They've said that before the government come to a decision on HS2, they should have more clarity on really a lot of subjects. The route assessment, the alternatives assessment, how it gets to Heathrow, the financial case, the business case, the environmental impact, loads of stuff that they said they want more clarity on before a decision happens. This has to put the brakes on HS2, at least for now. Philip Hammond, the previous Secretary of State, he was thinking that, you know, announcing to go ahead by December the 14th, a month's time. There are massive holes in this that the Transport Select Committee have identified that there has to be more information on.
But the government doesn't have to do anything about their report at all. They're not obliged to implement any of these recommendations.
No, that's the really scary thing. This thing has been driven through on the flimsiest of evidence, and that's what this report shows. And you're just going to say, yeah, well, high-speed rail, it sounds like it must be a good idea, so we're going to have it, irrespective of what the cost is. And there is a massive, massive question on what the true cost of this is going to be.
Although this report, whilst it has said that there are plenty of concerns, it has said that this is affordable, it is justifiable, and they agree with the principle of high-speed rail.
Well, I really would challenge the idea that it's affordable. You're talking $2 billion a year for, 15, 20 years, but that is if it comes in on cost. Like the West Coast Main Line upgrade came in 3 times over budget. There's no reason not to assume that HS2 won't end up close to the £100 billion mark. So you'd be talking about £3 grand, £4 grand for each family in the country to pay for this. And that's before you look at the subsidy that everyone will have to pay to run the thing, to subsidise travel for the rich, a fast train for fat cats. It's just wrong.
But at the end of the day, despite all of those considerations that I just said a moment ago, they have said that this is a good idea. They do support it, and they want the government to implement these recommendations, but they think that it will improve things, it will rebalance the economy, they say, and it will act as a catalyst to help connectivity.
They say it's a good idea if you do it properly, and what they're saying is that it clearly hasn't been done properly. In terms of balancing the economy, for example, they've said that if HS2 is going to do that, you've got to spend a load more extra money on the existing transport infrastructure, you've got to connect it up better, you've got to invest in the cities, to develop where the stations are. Where's the money coming from for that? It won't work without that.
And just finally, I mean, what did you think about this idea of following existing transport corridors? Because that is one of the things that they want the government to examine.
Well, this is one of the things that hasn't happened so far, and it's just ridiculous. A straight line has been drawn between London and Birmingham, well, as straight a line as you can possibly imagine, and they said, this is it, and we're not going to even look at the alternatives. One of the main problems with HS2 is the speed, and of course if you slow it down you reduce so much of the environmental impacts, and you can do that, but that means going back to the drawing board.
Does this change anything for you?
Yeah, it gives us another really strong weapon in our fight against this. Like there are there's a lot of headlines that have happened that say they support it, with massive conditions, and we don't feel that those conditions will ever be met.
Joe Regan, campaign coordinator for Stop HS2 campaign, thank you very much indeed for joining us live on BBC Coventry and Warwickshire. And Shane, we'll hear more on this. It's 5 weeks to go till we get the report published on the consultation into HS2.
No doubt. Sean, thanks for that. That's political reporter Sean Grestek joining us on the show.
BBC Coventry and Warwickshire.